Up tonight, the marathon begins. So far, there have been no big stumbles or surprises on the first full day of the election campaign.
Predictably, Malcolm Turnbull and Bill Shorten have headed straight to marginal seats, which has them both in Queensland tonight.
Well, Adam Todd is with the Prime Minister in Brisbane. Adam, both leaders stayed within their comfort zones today.
Well, Hugh, we learned a lot from the electorates the Prime Minister visited today during his marginal seat blitz. All three of them are held by the government, and that tells us that this election is going to be all about the government holding on to as many seats as it can and trying to stem the losses to Labor. Another poll out today showing that right now it is very close. The Prime Minister didn't make any policy announcements today, but he did make it clear he is going to be campaigning on the economy and the budget his Treasurer handed down less than a week ago. It looks like a campaign, feels like a campaign and even tastes like a campaign.
Very good.
Malcolm Turnbull heads straight for Brisbane, touring three key marginal seats in the Queensland capital. First stop, the Brisbane produce markets.
First day.
Yeah, indeed. First day of the campaign.
Spruiking his plan to offer company tax cuts.
We're backing you, backing your enterprise.
That's a good start.
But he's starting the campaign behind, according to today's news poll. Labor leads 51 to 49 on two-party preferred terms. Critically, Labor's primary vote has hit 37%, well within striking distance. The PM is banking on his economic plan, unveiled in last week's budget.
Our national economic plan is already working.
But Newspoll found just 18%, or fewer than 1 in 5 voters, feel they're better off after the budget, a rating worse than Joe Hockey's last effort.
We've got an election on the 2nd of July. We've got 8 weeks, and we'll be talking about our national economic plan every single day.
Indeed, Labor argues it's lower paid workers who are the very kind of people Mr Turnbull has forgotten. The Prime Minister is hoping pictures like this interacting with working people here at the Brisbane markets will help overcome Labor's claims he's out of touch. The Prime Minister is treading the same well-worn path as his predecessor, who visited these same markets in a previous campaign. By contrast, today Tony Abbott cast a lonely figure. Away from the bright lights, there's no media frenzy for this humble backbencher. So Tony Abbott there handing out pamphlets in Manly in his seat of Warringah. The Prime Minister is spending the night in Brisbane before more campaigning in Queensland tomorrow. We're not sure where he's going next, but it won't be too long before he's heading to Sydney and those key marginals in Western Sydney.
Absolutely. 54 days to go, Adam Todd. Thank you.
Bill Shorten, meantime, did have to fend off some awkward questions today about border protection after a Labor candidate contradicted Labor's policy on asylum seekers. Catalina Flores is travelling with the opposition leader in Cairns, where his focus was squarely on schools.
While Labor played to its traditional strength of education to kickstart its formal election campaign, the opposition leader choosing a primary school in Cairns to make a $4.8 million announcement, setting up 400 teaching scholarships for Indigenous students over the next 4 years.
Whilst up to 5% of the school population are from an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander background, only 1% of our teachers come from that same background.
But an old sore distracted from the core message today after Labor candidate for Melbourne, Sophie Ismail, questioned the party's asylum seeker policy, in particular the boat turnbacks. Bill Shorten didn't say whether she would be reprimanded, but said his party's position is settled.
We will not put the people smugglers back into business. We will not allow policy which sees the mass drowning of vulnerable people seeking to come to this country.
The government has seized on the comments as a sign of disunity on border protection. Labor will be hoping the issue doesn't get traction over the long campaign to come, with one opinion poll still putting it ahead at winning the coming election. Despite that, Bill Shorten today was keen to claim underdog status. The opposition's campaign stays in regional Queensland tonight, with the next stop in Townsville. From Cairns, Catalina Flores for 10 Eyewitness News.